need like a macro so I can hit that little button faster. Hi, everybody. It's the Dead Air Horror Review Show. I am El Topo, aka TJ, and to my virtual left is Chris
It's
Park.
just Chris.
It's Chris.
It's just
Uh,
Chris.
Chris, what did we watch this week?
Another one of your recommendations, but I don't think
Yes,
you had seen it when you
I had
recommended it
not.
to me. You
No,
had just heard
yes.
of somebody
Uh,
recommended it to you, maybe?
a friend of mine told me that it was that the movie that we watched is called The Loved Ones, and it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets a high school prom, and that sold me completely. Now, the one thing that they neglected to tell me was it's Australian. It's hard for me to take any Australian movie seriously with their like accents because when they say no, no, like it's just too funny to
Hey,
me.
quick question. Are you actually sitting in your living room? That looks
Um,
like, oh,
no,
okay.
Lulu, that was her name, right? Lulu is
Yeah.
behind me. No, but yeah, we watched, and I will say that description is very accurate. This is very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Specifically the dining room scene, which is probably one of the best scenes in the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I loved this movie.
Wow.
I thought this was great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this movie, and I thought that the lead actress, the deranged psycho killer here, I thought she was a powerhouse. I thought she was great. I kind of
Yeah.
thought that she kind of put the whole movie on her shoulders, and I thought she was fantastic. I thought someone that kind of I mean this doesn't really, these movies don't really exist anymore, but there was a period in time in the early 2000s where we had the torture porn genre, and I generally found those movies like really boring, and like I didn't enjoy a lot of them.
So
I
hold
liked
on. This wasn't actual porn?
no, like torture. You remember like everything like post Hostel. There was like the movies that were like horror movies, but it was literally just people being like beaten and tortured for 45 minutes.
Yeah. And they were
And
always in Eastern Europe somewhere.
yeah, and I enjoyed Hostel. I don't know how well it holds up anymore. I haven't watched it in years, but
Yeah.
and I believe you and I met one of the stars of Hostel at like a Monster
We
Mania.
did. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put up the picture. I'm gonna show it right here. I love that picture.
But I would say that this kind of falls into that category a little bit. Because it's definitely about like a guy getting tortured, but like it's compelling. Like I felt like between like the direction and just the forward momentum of the screenplay, like it moves very fast, and I was glued to the screen the whole time. I was never bored, and I was never like this is too excessive.
I
But
mean,
I
you
guess
nailed
we
it.
should
There, you're right.
go
It
ahead.
does move so fast. There was a couple times I picked up my phone and I had to rewind it because like
Yeah,
I got lost and I was like, oh shit, like let me go
it's
back. It does.
it
You got to pay attention in this
yeah,
one.
and I guess like very briefly, like no spoilers, because I think even though like I think this is a generally well received movie, I think it's still kind of like unknown, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it's a very simple setup, right? Um, this kid, there's a flashback. Well, you don't know it's a flashback when it starts, but this kid is in a car accident with his dad after like a horribly injured person like jumps out on the road in front of them, and more about him later, I guess. And in that car accident, the kid's father dies, and then they go, what is it, 6 years, 6 years after that, or six months. There's a time jump. I can't remember the exact. I think it was 6 months because
Six
he looked.
months.
It was 6 months.
Mhm.
So anyway, so this kid is trying to live his life, trying to get over the trauma of losing his dad and feeling responsible for it. And then he just, he goes to high school, and he's got his hilariously stereotypical kind of fat buddy that is in every high school movie. It's always like a kind of fat guy that's funny and does drugs.
He's lovable.
I
He's
he's That kid's
he.
great.
Yeah.
Uh, and so anyway, this kind of this girl that's kind of shy, and of course she's it's ever since fucking Archie, right? You always got to have the Betty and Veronica. It's
Mhm.
it's the shy dark haired girl asks like this super handsome kid to the dance, And he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to the no, I'm not going to the dance."
Who would be the beauty queen in any other school in the
First
rest
of
of the
all,
world?
I'm Team Lola, by the way. Like that girl,
Yeah.
she's gorgeous. And also I just like crazy. Like this just speaks to me. I just if you are deranged and I mean that in the most endearing way possible, you'll probably date me. I don't have you know what I mean? Like I have a very specific type, and it's deranged.
Could you imagine someone being that obsessed with you, TJ?
I
How would you
mean,
feel?
I would probably like it because I do have a slight ego, so I would
Yeah.
probably be, like I always thought the character, I can't remember her name now, but remember Flight of the Conchords
Yep.
and Kristen Shaw's character who was like
Yes.
obsessed with them. Like I
Yeah.
was like, that'd be cool.
The real question, would you let her drill a hole in your head?
I mean, honestly, like I'm kind of tired of these thoughts. So yeah, probably. Um, yeah,
Some say it can make you permanently high. I
I'd
know there's
probably welcome it. And then like
yeah.
the real shame is that they didn't finish it off because apparently they're gonna drill the hole in the head and then dump boiling water in the
Yeah.
hole to like cook your brain, which I wonder, and I didn't look into this at all, but I have a tacit understanding of I think Jeffrey Dahmer did that to people.
He did. He tried to turn him into
Like
sex
zombies,
sex
sex
zombies. Yeah.
zombies. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
That I when they did that, I was like, oh, Dahmer. Like
That's
they
like
pulled
a
that right from the
yeah.
Dahmer book.
But anyway, so Lulu, that's her name, Lulu, right? Or
Lola.
Lola, she asks the handsome kid to the dance. Chris probably remembers all the characters' names. I never
I'm
do.
looking. I always keep it up. Brent.
Uh
Brent.
asks him to the Brit
Brent.
asks him to the dance. He's like, no, I already got it. I'm already going to the dance with his girlfriend, um
Holly.
Holly. And then that's kind of the whole movie. Like they also simultaneously, and this, if I had any kind of nitpick with the movie, the like B plot of this movie, I don't really understand it like very much. Like I think I did by the end, but the B plot of this movie is Brent's like fat lovable friend asked this other super hot girl out who's like
Oh
super
yeah.
gothy and like
Yep.
gorgeous and like, oh my god, looks like Yennefer from the fucking Witcher games if anybody's ever played those. um and she agrees, like the super hot chick, and that's kind of like so like basically after these opening scenes, um Brent gets he goes out hiking and he gets assaulted, and then he wakes up in the girl's in her deranged house.
Right
Deranged,
behind TJ.
the word of the day,
That's not
yes.
TJ's house. That is in
No.
fact a scene from the movie.
um and then so basically the rest of the movie is just him getting tortured with her Lola and her sicko father, and the father and her have this weird, like super weird, like I
Weird.
don't know.
I don't even think weird is
Weird isn't
the
the word.
word. Yeah, no.
Um,
Uh
it,
incestuous. It's
incestuous, and
disturbing.
it's like right from the jump too. Like she
Yeah.
like he gives her this. You don't even know Brent's like kidnapped yet, but like you see the father, and the father is like perfect casting for like this creepy looking dude. He
Mm-hmm.
gives her this prom dress, and she's like, "Let me try it on," and I immediately I was like, "Oh no, oh no, like
Oh no.
no." And then like the movie, like she tries it on, and like he sits there and he's like staring at her. I'm like, "Oh God, oh no." Um, and then again, like so she's dressed up for prom. They basically have all these kind of like twisted fucking prom games, which just involve just fucking Brent up mercilessly. Like this
Yeah.
movie, if you got a problem with like gore or like body horror type stuff, this probably isn't the movie for you because it is fucking brutal.
Would you feel comfortable watching this movie with anyone? Or is this more of
Uh
a movie that
I would, because I'm a sicko, but yeah, I would. I don't. I well, first of all,
with a stranger, do you think
a stranger. I
with a
yeah, probably.
stranger and then be like I fucking love that movie. What do you
I
think their
mean,
reaction would be?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. Probably. This one to me, I feel like there's other movies that would fall in that category where I'd feel a lot more uncomfortable. This is more like a traditional horror movie because like the villains are portrayed as like completely villainous. Like so like their actions make sense because they're, you know what I mean? Like it's not like there's this like weird gray area where like they try to moralize what they're doing. Like it's pretty evident from jump, and then making them incestuous and the dad like a weird pedophile, like that just, that's like, you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
no redeeming these people, and they never try, which is also something I really like about the movie. Like it's just, I think a lesser movie makes the father the villain and the girl kind of a misguided, like, you know what I mean, like raised in this, doesn't understand what she's doing. But no, they're both just completely out to sea, you know what I mean?
And you
And
may ask, where is the mother during all of this?
oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead, take it away,
I'm
PJ.
glad you brought that up. So Chris earlier mentioned the whole drilling a hole in your head thing. Well, I'm gonna guess they don't ever come out and really say it, but I'm gonna guess the patient zero for this drilling the hole in the head was the mother, who Lola refers to as bright eyes. You don't find out until very late in the movie. I mean, you can assume that it's her mother, but like
Yeah.
you don't find out till later in the movie that it's her mom. Um, and she doesn't like her at all, which is weird because, like, of course she doesn't like her because they have a weird incestuous. Her and her father have this weird incestuous relationship. So anyway, again, now the secondary plot is the part that I kind of don't understand its purpose. So goofy fat kid goes to hot goth girl to the prom, and like, you know, he's really awkward and like he's smoking weed, and she's like teasing him about like, you know, sucking his dick and stuff. And then like they go to they go to the dance and they both get like high, and then she gets like really like grabby and it's like basically like screwing him on the dance floor, and then they go to his car and have sex, and then it's like that's kind of it. And then like they get chased away from the dance, and then the goth girl goes back to the house and she's like crying, and she says to her dad something about, why can't you find me a boyfriend? And I think now, Chris, I'm going to need your help on this one.
Yeah.
I think the guy that Lola refers to as the one that got away, who was the guy that got in the road that caused the car accident at the beginning, I think that is supposed to be her boyfriend. Is that what I'm supposed to believe? Because I
I
was kind of lost. I was like, I didn't understand what
yeah.
they were doing. It was very odd to me.
Yeah, it was odd. I wasn't sure at first whether it was a boyfriend or her brother.
Her brother, yeah, it was just weird. And that whole
Yeah.
subplot, like, I was like, the whole time I was watching it, I was like, okay, how is this going to tie into the other thing? And it
Yeah.
doesn't, like, at all. Like in it, and I again, like, I think it's a testament to this movie. Like in a lesser movie, this really would have like taken me out of it. But again, the movie moves so fast that
Yeah.
like I do have a problem with it because again, I don't really understand its inclusion, but like it didn't take me out of it because the main plot is so strong, and it, you know what I mean, it was so captivating.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand it like at all. Especially like I guess the part that really threw me off was like the part where she's like crying, and I guess like her being, you know, um, I sound like somebody from the 40s, but I guess from her being like sexually aggressive is her like coping mechanism for losing her brother or boyfriend. I wish they would have made it clearer what I was supposed to feel in these scenes. I didn't understand it.
Yeah. I forgot the exact wording too. It was clearly someone close enough to her to really
Yeah.
screw her up.
But they don't
Um,
reveal this until literally the last scene you have with her in it.
yeah.
So like maybe setting that up beforehand or something, like, or
Yeah.
I guess thinking about it now, is the parallel narrative, are we supposed to think as the audience that this girl, because she's also like kind of dark and scary, is she gonna kill him too? Like, is that the idea? But I
I
never thought that
I
way.
kind of
Like,
got the sense that she was just trying to mask her pain
yeah,
with,
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, I
you
can
know,
definitely
with
see
anyone
that.
that showed her like the slightest bit of interest, you know,
Sure,
like
relatable.
I mean, she was also like, um, it, it's so funny because this kid, the affable kind of husky best
Yeah,
friend, he's so confident, and he just walked up right up to I believe Mia was her name, and asked her out, and she was like, "Yeah, sure." And that kind of seemed unbelievable to me, you know,
right. Yeah,
at first sight. Um, and I think it was. Now I'm thinking about it. I think it was kind of unbelievable to that friend too. He was kind of like, "Oh,
oh yeah,
okay, this is
yeah.
cool." And then
He
it kept
definitely
getting
outkicked
the
his
relationship kept getting more intense.
he outkicked his coverage on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it kept getting deeper and more intense. And you know, they went to the dance. They I don't know if they actually had sex in the car. I don't remember.
oh, they did. Also,
Yeah.
like, screw that like school administrator or whatever. Like, first of all, he this guy's getting like a handy on the dance floor, and he's like, "Take that somewhere else, governor," or whatever. And then like they're fucking in the car, and then he like comes out and he's like, "When I said take it somewhere else, like drive outside
Right.
the
Are you
parking
just
lot." Like,
what a
bro, leave him
perv?
alone, dude. Like,
Yeah.
just stay in the building. Like, good lord. Like,
um
it's one of those like doesn't matter had sex moments though, because like again, like that
yeah,
chick is way out of that guy's league, and it's
way
just
out of
like,
that guy's league. So if listener slash viewer, um uh, this movie moves back and forth. So if it doesn't make sense the way we're explaining it here, we'll explain it again. So Brent drives with his dad, almost hits a zombie like figure on the street,
who is like a naked man who is
naked,
bloody as all
bleeding.
get out. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, Fast forward 6 months, he goes, he's dating Holly. They're about to go to the prom. Lola asks him out. He says no. Too bad. Lola captures him,
yeah,
um, takes him home, does a bunch of screwed up stuff to him,
yeah. Incredibly
like
screwed up. Like,
really, really disturbing stuff that just kind of me. I don't know about you, TJ. Did it seem a little drawn out, like all these torture scenes, or were
I
you cool with it?
no, I no. I usually I would feel that way, but I don't
Yeah,
know. There was something about how visceral, again, it's like a theme of the show, right? That I love stuff that like sticks around and makes it uncomfortable.
yeah,
And this did. Like, I feel like I agree that the scenes go on long, but it makes you really stuck in the moment. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, there's and I felt like again, like the between the creepy father's performance and Lola's performance, like it kept me invested in those scenes, even though they were ostensibly just like torture scenes. There was something about them that like I don't know, personally I was in for the ride, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I agree, like usually I would be kind of checked out, but I don't know, there was something about how everything was going, and like they added just enough suspense where Brent kept getting out of his traps and stuff,
yeah,
where like I was really interested to see where it was going. And again, I was really confused and wondering how the B plot was going to tie into all this.
yeah,
So like I guess that's what kept me
yeah.
invested.
So Holly, wondering where her prom date is,
Yeah.
goes to Mia's father, who's a police officer, says, I can't find my boyfriend Brent. I think something's wrong. Um, Police officer, I don't remember how he knows to go to Lola's house. I probably should have watched this last night or this morning, but he goes to Lola's house.
Oh,
Arm,
because no, she because the Holly, remember in the car after Lola and Brent have sex, he told her that Lola asked him to go to the dance. So
oh, so that's right. That's right.
she like tells him to go to Lola's house.
So police officer goes to the house. He lasts what about 10 seconds inside the house?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Also, there's, I mean, again, I guess we can't help but spoil some of it, but like at this point, Brent ends up in this pit of like other basically lobotomized victims, which is fucking wild.
Okay, so what did you think about that part? I'm really curious because they weren't
I
zombies.
kind of loved it. Like again, I loved it because it's fucking, well, no, I mean, I would
Why
have
did
less of
they
a problem.
crave human flesh?
Well, I think they're just insane. Like, they're just like the mom, right? They are lobotomized, and it seems like they are. It's not that they crave human flesh, but they live in that basement and they live off whatever scraps are thrown down there. So
Yeah,
they're deranged. You know, they're like,
yeah,
again, deranged is the fucking word of the day. Um, I don't know. Again, like as far as like ramping up the intensity of this movie goes, like that was like another scene where it's just like, okay, what's next? And then you got that, and I
yeah,
felt like it worked because like I like the fact that there's like a scene that establishes like Lola and her dad have done this for a long time, and I thought it was kind of cool that, oh, the like the drilling your hole in the head, but like brain soup thing works, and there's all the people downstairs. Like, I don't know, I thought it was cool. Like, I liked it.
Did you think it worked better with a dad daughter combo versus just Lola doing these
Oh yeah,
deranged acts by herself?
absolutely. I think I really liked it, and again, like it harkens back, whether it's intentional or not, but it harkens back to the family aspect of Texas Chainsaw
Yeah.
Massacre. You know, that the Sawyers,
Mhm.
their family, and I enjoyed that part. Again, like you know, in a normal high school setting, you know, you have the thought, you know, you got to meet the dad before you take the girl to prom. So this was kind of like, I thought it was a very clever, you know, kind of play on the whole thing. Like I again, it's a very simple movie, but like I think that the execution of it was done very, very well.
And they were
Uh,
able to inject, despite the the gruesome nature of the film itself, to inject some humor in there sometimes when it
It
got,
was, yeah, it was a little funny at times.
yeah. Okay, so let's do scores. Scale of one
Yeah,
to ten. How do you feel about this one?
it's like an 8. If you tightened up that B plot, it'd be like a 9 or a 10. Like
Nine or
I
10.
really really enjoyed this movie a lot. I was just left scratching my head, like I said,
Yeah.
with the B plot. I didn't understand it. I didn't really look. I should have looked online and saw what people thought about it, but like I felt like that kind of drug the movie down, but just a little.
Yeah.
But other than that, I highly recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. I think this is like a banger. Like this is like a very fun, like disgusting romp, and like I wish there was more stuff like this out there. You know?
Was it, do you think it was scary?
No, I don't think any movie's scary. This is something I can't believe we just now brought up. I kind of hate when people talk about horror movies and they're like, well, it isn't scary. Like I don't really think any horror movie is scary. Like the only horror movie that's scary to me is like The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Like I don't, being scared, like I'm scared in my regular life paying my bills, like I'm not scared watching a movie. But yeah, what about you? Number score?
I would give it 8.7,
Yeah,
8.7.
strong
It's
movie.
it was really good. And
Yeah,
I thought it was like clever, and it was written well, and it
yeah,
was shot
I
well.
believe
And
first time director, first time
yeah,
writer too,
yeah.
like
I'm surprised it didn't gross more. The budget was 4 million. It only grossed $358,000.
I can't
I
believe.
don't know how that's possible.
Yeah, well, I don't think it had like a theatrical release.
Oh,
This is
that's
this
got to be it. Yeah,
this is
you
an
got to be right about
Australian
that.
movie, so
Yeah,
uh but yeah, really, really good. Surprised I hadn't seen it before, but excellent. And also like on such a low budget, like it looks really good. Like it's
yeah,
shot really well. I loved all the gore effects. Like I thought they did the right thing too, where a lot of the gorier parts, like they didn't actually show you. You had to
yeah.
kind of imagine it. Like I thought it was really, I thought it was really, really strong.
And
I'd be interested to see like what else this filmmaker has made, see if he's made anything else, because I thought this was a very, very strong movie overall.
and to that point, I'm glad you brought that up. Um, when you don't see the violence, you really have to rely on the audio cues, and like,
Yeah,
and the sound effects in this
Sounds
were
were great.
really
Sounds are great.
you
And
didn't have
like,
to see it. You could hear it and you're
yeah.
like, oh
Well,
damn.
and also they did that thing where they give Brent some kind of drug where he can't talk.
Yeah.
So he just has these really awful, like pained, like
Like screams.
they're like air, like it's like
Yeah.
breathing screams, which was like that alone was such a clever decision, and it
Yeah.
made it that much more intense. I don't know. I again, man, it's a solid movie. I highly recommend if you like your movies like quick and violent, like check this out because
Yeah,
it
this is
was
the one.
very strong, very strong. Great performances all around. Like really, really good movie.
Another
Yeah.
good call, TJ.
Yeah, so next week we'll get this in before we're get cut off. Next week we're watching Barbarian. Um, I'm
TJ
gonna
has a lot
spoil
of
it.
thoughts he's already told
I'm
me.
gonna spoil it. It's a movie that I didn't like nearly as much as
Oh
this.
no.
But we'll find out exactly what my thoughts are. My farts. Excuse me, I must have ate too
We can
many
talk about
beans.
those too.